Is art like that? Like, were your art instructors very, I don't know how to phrase it, like critical in the sense of the better the work you did was, the more nitpicky they'd get about the work you were doing?
Totally.
Like almost like they graded you harsher the better you did?
I think it's
with the feedback, not with the scores.
Totally. I think some of my best professors did that.
Yeah.
And I think it's like a sign of a good professor that like they recognize your work and that like and they recognize where you're at as like something to be proud of, but they also know that like
well, their job is to help you improve.
Exactly, and that perfection is an illusion, and that you can always push yourself a little bit further. And I think definitely the best professors I had always did that. Yeah, for sure. In art and
there's such competitive fields. Like that's I guess that's sometimes what people outside of an art situation don't get in other professions, is at least like with well, I think of art as being performance in a sense where it's you are being measured on your output. Like it's not, I don't know how to put it. Like you're not a cog in the machine, and it's not can you deliver. It's are you delivering at a higher level than everyone else in your profession, or like where are you relative to the people in your field? It's
right,
and the bar is just always going higher. And I mean, obviously, it's like how do you have an objective measure for art? Like people can be equally talented or gifted or like virtuosic, taking completely different approaches, completely different strengths and weaknesses, and sometimes uniqueness can be the virtuosity in itself. But compare that to, I don't want to offend a lot of people. Compare that to, well, I have a lot of respect for accounting, and I do think accounting is an art if you get into it. Like, but I guess I'm thinking like any kind of job where it's sort of good enough is enough.
Yeah, totally.
And like,
we can just kind of phone it in.
As long as you're at a certain level, your career is going to happen. Like,
I don't know if it's like specific to any type of job, really. I think you can like in pretty much in any work
kind of thing.
Yeah, and anything that you do, you can always go above and beyond and like make it a craft. But I think what you're talking about is like the ability to, well, like when you're being taught something, having that teacher recognize that like when you're phoning it in and when you're not, and when you're actually striving to get better, and like, you know, like that's like teachers don't want to teach anybody who's not willing to push themselves, and that's why like this place is so cool, because like everybody wants to be here, and everybody's extremely motivated, and like that's like a teacher's like wet dream right there. It's like, you know, it's just like all of my students are fully engaged and locked in.
Yeah,
you know,
and everyone's here to get better.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, which is a different mindset than I'm here to be proficient. Like at least to me, the goal of DBC is not proficiency. Like, if you had a laundry list of goals of DBC, maybe that'd be one of them. Like, we want them to be at least this proficient. But I think a lot of DBC is also about helping you become the best coder you can become.
Yeah, and I think it's like really tailored to the like as much as the
like an objective moral sense of excellence. Like,
totally. And I think that's really reflective of like starting you at phase 0. Like really, they don't expect you to know much about code at all, really.
Yeah.
And if you do, that's great. But if you don't, it's not a big deal. It's like it's really about like making you the best person, the best coder that you can be at that moment, right? Like there's people who come into this program that already have CS degrees, you know.
That shocks me.
Yeah, and there's people who come in from, you know, like us, like we come from art, you know, like something that has nothing to do with coding really. So, you know, it's like that's what's really great is that they can really pick up from where you are in your life and just say, okay, yeah, let's get you like to be the best coder you can be given the resources and time we have. You know, which is great. It's awesome.
It's awesome. So we mentioned the break. How did you spend your week-long break from campus?
Probably not doing as much work as I should have. I gotta be honest about that. my sister was in town. I don't get to see her very often, so I
Yeah.
got to hang out with her and her dog. And so we went to the
that's
doggy
so
beach
nice.
a lot, and got to see my partner. And so it was great seeing her for a couple of days. And because you have no social life once you're in the program, that's something. I don't like. It's something they don't want to advertise on the website.
They imply it.
They
Like,
kind of like yeah.
I think they say we expect our students to write a letter to all their loved ones at the start of phase 1 that they won't see them for a while.
I
It was
get that.
somewhere.
Was
It
that an email they
was
sent?
somewhere. No, that
I
was
should've
like
done that.
I thought that was in the FAQ or something where it's
Yeah.
like I forget it.
Uh-huh.
Maybe that's just a running theme through like different alumni discussions combined with the website. If you're like, can I do another job during phase 1? And they're like, no.
Hell no.
No. No. The answer is no.
Don't kid
We
yourself.
expect you expect to only do this, and that's if you're lucky. Like
Yeah, totally. So yeah, I got to spend it with my partner, my sister, got to hang out with my mom and do some grocery shopping, get my laundry done, do all the things that you have to do in life that you like. You find that like you don't even have time to like I don't know. I can't even I feel like I can't even do my laundry during the week. But I find time.
Yeah,
I feel like I have to
I
have
did
to,
not do laundry
squeeze it
last
in that
weekend.
2 minutes that I have free
Yeah.
when I get home.
I got to do a lot of laundry tonight. Oh, it's Saturday for people who are wondering in the current world.
Yeah. How'd you spend yours?
I think this is hilarious. So the break was 9 days long, right? On Saturday, I did nothing.
Nice.
Like I
think that's
this is so embarrassing. Like the week before DBC started, I started playing this online free card game Blizzard has called Hearthstone.
Oh, Hearthstone.
And
yeah,
it's been years. Like I played Magic the Gathering as a kid, and it's been years since I've done a game like that. But I guess my attitude was like, well, I'm back to the broke student mentality, so I need to have like really cheap hobbies. So I spend no money. You can spend money doing it. I'm not spending any. And I kind of like just played that day and ate at the house all the food that was left in my fridge. And this is me at my lowest function. My highest functioning is like probably every day at DBC. But yeah, I just did nothing on Saturday, and then Sunday I did something. I went to the gym. Sunday I did really normal real life stuff. I cleaned my apartment. I went to the gym. I cooked food. Went grocery shopping at Trader Joe's. So that was great. So that was like the first weekend was like decompress and then like get my normal life set up because I feel like I've not been keeping up with my life since DBC started.
Yeah, totally.
By which I mean like journaling, working out, cooking, sleeping. That's the other thing. I slept a bunch that first weekend. I just slept a bunch. So once the true break started, I was really bad about doing DBC work. I had been ambitious about that. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go back over all this stuff. I did some practice assessments, but honestly, I think it's because it feels more like a game to me. I spent a lot of time on Code Wars, which I've talked about in previous episodes. And there's a Dev Bootcamp clam on that site.
Really?
Apparently there's 2 of them, though. And I did not find this out till the end of the break. I was so mad because I fought my way to the 2nd rank in the Dev Bootcamp clan, but apparently I'm the 3rd rank because there's actually 2 groups. And I was like, I was going to push the 1st place. I could have done it, but then I think I did all my weekend prep that Sunday, like the day before classes start. But like I was so caught up in Code Wars and it's great. I'm getting exposed to like real computers. I don't want to say real computer science stuff, but like very theory computer science.
Through Code Wars, you mean? Through
Code Wars, yeah. And so like I got introduced to, I forgot the term, there's coding languages that are, some of them are almost written as a joke where the way they're designed is to have the minimum number of input commands you can have to achieve a task. And so there's one where like it only had 3 commands, which was like, or it might have had 4. It's like you move on, you're on it goes between 0 and 255 for like the ASCII characters. And so you can increase the increment by however many. And then when it hits 256, it resets to 0. And this is like the challenge I was dealing with. And there's a button you hit that says you want to like print or save that character. And then there's another button you hit that says, and now it's the next character. And so like you get this long string of like basically 3 characters. And I said, they're like, okay, take this and write a translator in the Ruby where it prints strings off of what this other like joke code is doing.
Wow.
And I spent all afternoon building that thing. That was one of the Code Wars challenges, though, and it was super interesting. And I was reading a bunch on the topic. I wish I remembered the names of them. I want someone please message me on Slack if I don't do this. I got really excited because I discovered things about truth in Ruby that I did not realize before, like specifically
true and falsy things.
Yeah, and like the pipes don't do what they told us they do during not just on DBC, but in
pipes are a lie.
The pipes are more than
they appear to be.
Some coders are probably going to tear their hair out when I say this, but this is my personal view. Messing with Ruby and realizing what I have. The pipes are not a comparison operator. That is not what they do. But we're taught to use them in that context. But that's like using your car to like flatten boxes.
It's a comparison operator? They're not
they're not, operator. Exactly. Well, you know how like it was taught at the same time as like the ampersand, like this is true and this is true. Yes, the OR pipes. So okay, I should rephrase. Not the pipes in a block. In a block, but the OR pipes.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
Yeah, no. So the OR pipes are not a comparison operator. That's not what they do.
No, what?
Okay, I'll give a little pitch so you guys get excited about the video. I'm so excited about this, and everyone's gonna be like, "What a fucking nerd." What they do is they ask, or if what's on the left side of the pipes does not exist or is false, it plugs in what's on the right side of the pipes. And so there's a lot of ways you can use that in code beyond comparisons, especially with method outputs. Not going a little deep in the coding, I guess. So if you have a method, you've probably encountered this, where you'll have a method where the output will be nil, like in the final scenario or something like that. Like usually it's giving you what you want, but like say like it's doing something with an empty array, then it returns nil instead. Then you can use the pipes where you say like you take that output and you have the name of the variable you assign the output to on the left side. But then you can cover the condition where like, well, what if it doesn't exist? And rather than plugging that nil into some method that won't take nil, it either skips a step, or you can use the thing on the right side to like get the return you want for that situation. Like,
yeah, that reminds me kind of like 2 pipes and an equal sign, which is I think unique to Ruby, which kind of does that.
What does that do?
I think, don't quote me on it, but I think it's like if if A equals B, then or like if A equals like nil or false, then it will set A equals to whatever is on the other side of that pipes and equals.
Okay, so that's almost that almost sounds to me like there's 2 different ways of writing the same thing. Because I think you could. Okay, that makes sense, because I think the other version of syntax I was thinking in my head that won't work is, don't do this. I was thinking initially I was like A equals B pipes, what other thing, but that wouldn't work. It would just look A equals this, and it says cool, and it would just ignore the right side. Whereas pipes equal would say, that was one thing I tried to figure out during break. I'm like, I can't figure out how to do this.
If A equals nil, then just set A
so like how do you say A
equals
this or that? So that would be pipes. So yes, that is.
It's pretty cool. It's like little nifty Ruby magic.
Yeah, and here's another fun fact. Everything in Ruby can be used for a Boolean statement.
Oh yeah.
Or like, I mean, as values in a Boolean statement.
Uh-huh.
So it's funny. The mental model I developed, I researched on it, and we'll get back to real life briefly. I swear to God. My mental model of like what works for me in understanding how everything operates in Ruby and is useful. The only problem with the mental model is that it's false. It's a lie. But like for
all intents
98% of
like,
purposes,
yeah.
you'll do code better if you think of it. I started to think of nil as false as the absence of truth, and nil as the absence of objectness. However, I read up on this. I was like,
but
well,
nil is actually an object.
Nil is actually an object, as is false. And you could also group true into this. It's a class. There is a nil class that only has a single object within it, and that object is, or instance, there's only one instance of the nil class, and that instance is nil. Properties and all the weird things nil does is coded into the nil class.
Wow.
And one of the things written in the nil class is that nothing else can be defined as a nil instance.
Wow.
So you can't say like variable equals nil.new. It'll just say screw off.
Yeah, it's like
same thing with false, same thing with true. I think same thing with true. And this is some research I did a week ago, so I'm sorry if I'm fuzzing this a little bit. That being said, I think as a mental model, if you recognize, oh, nil is the absence of objectness.
Yeah.
That is how nil seems to function in a lot of situations where it's like how 0 is a number. Is 0 a number? Yes, it's a number. But 0 is the absence of anything at the same time. And that's why I'd say like false is the absence of truth. Any object in Ruby other than nil or false, if you plug into a Boolean situation, it's true.
Yep.
That's what it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like, so if you could write if 5 and then it will execute what's under if because something exists there.
Yeah.
Like same thing. Like if some string, like the number 5, it would still do it. So it's, anyway, yeah. So I want to do a video that goes really in depth into that. And then I was like, well, crap, if I do that video, I should do an intro video about, well, like, let's talk about true and false on a very basic level in Ruby, even though I'm assuming everyone knows it. So that was part of my break, was I got very excited about truthiness.
Yeah, it's totally cool.
Yeah.
I think that's like a good adventure to go on the break.
And there's just like so many, and you can chain like infinite pipes. Or like OR pipes, yeah.
Oh yeah, you can do that.
Yeah. Till like no man may name the last variable. And similarly, I think you can chain the ands, like the ampersand ands, and you can also chain the bang symbol. I don't know if you call it the bang. Basically, it's the one in front of a statement saying not that.
Yeah.
So
bang,
not true, not false, like whatever.
Right.
So anyway, it's all this stuff. That's how I spent my break. Did I do DBC work? No. Yeah. And I did get my course done. I almost didn't, and I was like, what is wrong with you? Like what? And I think I had finished 2 chapters in Pooter. Practical object-oriented Ruby design.
Something like that.
Like we talked about in a previous episode. That actually apparently is in the required curriculum. I did not realize that when we discussed it during phase 0. But I had finished like 2 chapters, and when we were doing our check-ins that morning, Hunter and I said, I was like, I did everything. I got to do 2 chapters left. And Hunter just looked at me. He's like, you had 9 days. Like, what are you doing? What did you do for 9 days where you didn't finish this book?
I was on Code Wars.
Yeah. So there something that came up this week. This might actually be better for a separate episode, I'm realizing. But we'll just address it briefly. The news has come out, and you've probably encountered it. DBC is shutting down. And because this episode's getting longer, I'd almost want to keep it focused on phase 1 right now. But I think, and hit anything I don't cover that you think should be like bullet points I mentioned now. Bullet points that does not reflect DBC's success at educating students. I think, actually, I've gotten kind of mad actually with some posts I've seen. some people are upset. They're like, oh, I'm going to the school and now that's shutting down. It's going to look really bad. My resume. And I think people are failing to make the distinction. DBC was not failing on the education front. DBC is shutting down because of what was happening on the business front. And there is a difference between creating a great product for people and turning a profit while doing it. And it's possible. I don't know this. This is me extrapolating, and I talked to my dad, and he came to the same thought on his own too. So I was like, oh, someone else thought it. And I know in the teacher meeting they mentioned Kaplan had like poured millions of dollars into getting this model to work. DBC, like in terms of turning a profit. I totally lost my flow.
You were talking with your dad about it, and he agreed with you on something?
Yeah, I don't remember, but basically, right. So it's possible if Kaplan had not acquired DBC, it might have shut down sooner.
True.
Like 3 years ago.
True.
And obviously, I'm just a student. I don't know anything that went into the deal. I haven't even read up like what happened with that acquisition. But at least in this situation, my impression is like Kaplan is not like the bad guys. It's not a poor reflection on them in any way. And they're doing a great job handling the students that are still here and living up to the product they promised to deliver. Yeah. Both the final cohort is starting this Monday. So, hey guys, I see you. I think they're called Red Pandas.
Nice. Which
is a solid name.
Yeah, I like that. Red Pandas.
It's a good name. Hey, Red Pandas. And if I screw this up, don't take it personally. I've been doing phase 1. So if the people in that group repeated everything, which they're allowed to do under the contract, they will still finish the program on December 8th. And so Kaplan's keeping DBC. Campus is open until December 8th. And then Career Service is going to be open 6 months past that.
Yes.
Which I think that's what, even though like Career Services personally have pledged, like we will help you until you get a job. I think officially on paper, DBC only guarantees 6 months of help with job placement.
After December 8th.
Or I think it was even before this happened. I think that was the official terminology used. And like I said, in practice, they're like, we're going to help you.
6 months from now or 6 months from
graduation? For students graduating.
Oh, shit.
That could be wrong. That's not, I don't work for DBC. This is just a random student espousing things they think they read months ago. So take it with a grain of salt. So if you're going to the program, don't be freaking out about shutting down. In many ways, this is a theme that came up. You are probably going to attend the best DBC there's ever been, because all the staff and teachers now can just focus on teaching. And the only question they have to answer is what's in the best service of the students. Kaplan's done a great job of holding on teachers. It seems like they did not go into details. We didn't pry because it's not our business. But my impression was that teachers do have good incentives to stay until December 8th. Even beyond, like, at least in Chicago camps, all teachers said, we're here because we believe in this. And they all want to stay here till December 8th. I guess personal situations might stop some of them from doing that. But even then, it sounded like the game plan is there are a lot of people in DBC, like higher up, that formerly were instructors on campus, and they will be rotated in if there are any openings. And then as one campus shuts down, they don't all shut that down at the same time. Teachers rotated on to other campuses. And again, there's another reason you'd be in the best DBC is even though it's nice to have teachers from beginning to end that see your growth, honestly, I think there's probably more value as a coder to being exposed to more divergent viewpoints and philosophies about how to code. So that's a huge part of going to school is being exposed to like a lot of different opinions, strong, educated, informed opinions about how to do things and why.
Totally.
So I feel like that kind of covers talking about DBC shutting down.
I think you could definitely make a whole video on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that about I
feel like it's like the elephant in the room if we don't even bring it up. Like, oh, and everything's peachy keen, blah 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 blah. So we were going to talk about ActiveRecord. I kind of want to skip over it.
Yeah, let's skip over it.
Other than saying ActiveRecord is week 3. Oh God, I hate it. No, no, it's. I think it is pretty cool. It's just.
I haven't got
it's
my mind
hard to
fully
learn
around it
after
yet.
the assessment, and that will happen to you too. Like assessment day is just so nerve wracking. Everyone's so nervous. Even if you do well, your friends are nervous. Like, and the phase 2 students do an all day assessment. We just do half a day assessment. So picture doing that, having your meeting, and then you have to learn that afternoon, which fortunately is very like step-by-step tutorial-y that day, which was a more recent change, but it made it much easier for me because I was like, okay, I'm just going to literally type what they're telling me to type. Don't have to think. But my advisor at least was emphasizing to me and everyone that ActiveRecord, the more you study ActiveRecord, the better you'll do in phase 2.
Yeah. So
once we hit phase 2, we'll have stronger opinions about that, but don't phone that in. We're going to spend a lot of this weekend reviewing ActiveRecord. The empathetic team was the emotional engineering topic this week.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Engineering empathy. Emotional engineering.
Emotional engineering.
How to tweak people's emotions the way you want.
Sounds like hypnosis.
It's a great manipulation. The unofficial DBC.
Oh yeah, no, we're teaching you to be like a Jedi here, Jedi mind tricks.
This is why isn't this code done? This is not the duty.
Exactly. The deadline is not this week.
Yeah, but the engineering empathy session was really great this week. How can the team best serve the group? How can the team best serve the individual? How can the individual best serve the team?
Exactly. Kind of like reflecting on how like individuals and groups are two sides of the same coin.
Yes.
And like how important it is to like have both like that macro and micro level of like the workplace, like be a really cohesive unit that like individuals feel valued and productive and heard, and groups with all the priorities that they have and the dynamics that each individual group has, and like how those things work together, right? It's like it's a really complex thing, but I think it's all about like at the end of the day, really good communication, and also like what we do when we do whiteboarding, like setting norms and following through and respecting those.
And that's I didn't realize that was. I kind of picked up that group norms are probably part of the curriculum because all the older teams were doing it, but that's it goes a long way towards.
So it like seemed, to be honest, I thought it was a little gimmicky at first, like norms, like everybody, like of course, like you assume don't be a shitty person, also like don't interrupt people, but actually
specific is good though. I think that's part of the thing with the norms.
Yeah, specific is good because then you're not tiptoeing and being like, hey,
how to handle this.
Yeah, you're like, hey, like we explicitly brought this up because this messes with people's flow.
Yeah.
And like this is not okay. And like you can actually point to something on the wall and not just,
and everyone's agreed on it.
Exactly. Like, and not just feel that like personally when you like try to have that feedback with that other person in case that a norm is broken, that you don't feel that insecurity of like, hey, like am I actually like coming from a place where like maybe I'm just taking this too seriously, or like you know, like, but like if you can point to something and say like, hey, we like the first day we started working on this thing, we said like this is what we expect out of people. Like I feel it gives people a really strong jumping point of like being able to respond to one another in a really effective and clear way. Yeah, you know?
It makes it very easy for everyone to hold each other accountable.
Yes, totally.
Yeah. So that was a great. That was a great. And I think it also kind of talked about how can teams make team members feel more included, like, or be inclusive rather than exclusive. And norms is one huge way of doing that, where people feel comfortable expressing things that are bothering them about how the project's going. But then also, it talked about how can you personally best serve the team.
Yes.
Another great point in the EE was your norms are only as meaningful as your enforcement of them. So like it's important that everyone actually goes up the bat for the norms and will fight. And DBC does that. Like that, they don't just teach us that. That is how they operate here. The EE meeting. Oh, the other thing I think that's really good, and it kind of ties into the DBC ethos. I don't know the exact word, but a phrase they keep repeating to us is the health of the project is the health of the team.
Yeah.
Or the health of the team is the health of the project. It's in that basically however the team is functioning, that is how well your project is doing.
Yeah, it reflects on the health of the project for sure.
Like,
yeah.
And if the team's not doing well, the project is never going to be doing well. So and another thing that came up was like, why is EE part of the curriculum? And the teachers kept going the bat for it. Like every teacher really strongly believes as having the EE part of the curriculum. The founder, when he was talking to, this is according to the DBC lore, so this is what's handed on to people at this point in the program. Who knows, if you're there at the beginning, feel free to comment and troll maybe. Oh, don't troll. This is a safe space. The founder talked to all his friends in the industry. It's like, what do you need in like junior developers? Like, what are you looking for? What languages? What do you want technically? And like pretty much unanimously, universally, all of them were like, whatever. We don't care what language someone knows. I need someone that can work in a team and isn't an asshole and like is pleasant to be around. And that's why EE became one of the huge emphases. Like, okay, like as long as people are learning the code and they understand algorithms and like kind of the building blocks of code, it doesn't matter what language we train them in. As long as they function well in a team environment.
Yep.
And I think this was in the EE. Duke was sharing. I think Duke was running it. Yeah.
Abner and Duke. Yeah.
Abner and Duke. They shared an article where someone had this epiphany where they're like, why am I getting talked as being a bad member of the team? I output 20% more code than everyone else. And the guy told us like, it's because nobody wants to work with you here. Or I think it's like anyone that works with you wants to quit within 4 months. Like,
yeah.
And then suddenly realize like, oh, up until the point of actually being able to do the code, my job is not to go as far beyond that as I can. It's, or at least in terms of like the success of the company, that doesn't matter. Right. Like what matters is how well I can operate with other people and the company can keep functioning as a unit.